Drop the point. Drop the point. Drop the point. Drop the point. No zero Hambone gonna drop the point. Drop the point. No zero Hambone. What is the point? Drop the point.
Hello world and welcome to another episode of Drop the Point. I am Hambone and I am joined today by Nolxero. What up, Xero?
Not much, man. Drop the heroes, get with the zero.
Absolutely. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode here. And, of course, we are going to continue our talk about the Taken King. But before we jump into that, I just want to get a couple formalities out of the way. If you want to send us a question, you can send that to onpoint@aimassistgaming.com, or you can tweet us on Twitter at aimassistgaming. Other than that, that's how you get in touch with us. We'll answer your question, and yeah, that's how we do the thing. So this week on Drop the Point, we want to talk to you about King's Fall, the new raid in the Taken King. I want to get Nolxero's opinion of it and talk a little bit of some strategy. So without further ado, let's jump right in.
That means spoilers, people.
Oh, yeah, we do need to say that there will be some spoilers here. So if you have not attempted the raid and you don't want to know these things, this is your chance to turn it off. Now we get into it. So, the first thing I want to ask you, Nolxero, is what's your overall opinion of this raid? Good, great, poor, just overall, what do you think?
Overall, I think it was really, really good. I mean, I honestly think it's fantastic. I actually would compare it to VOG, if not better than VOG, because it seems like they've they've done it better. They're polished, Everything seemed to work really well. I didn't have any problems with, occasionally we had a few lag issues, but overall, everything seemed to work very smooth throughout the entire raid, exactly how it seemed like it was intended to work.
Yeah. For me, I definitely thought this was on par with VOG, if not better. The scale, they were not lying about the scale of this raid. It is huge. There is a lot of very unique pieces to this raid that I thought encompassed everything that we did in year one and some stuff that we had never seen before, which is always what you want from a raid. And speaking of that, what was your favorite part of the raid? I know you've been through it to completion. I think you said I'm about halfway through the raid right now. I'm kind of slow playing it, but from start to finish, what was your favorite part of the raid?
It's hard to pick one because, when it goes out into the ships and you're doing the jumping puzzle early on the ships, the way just the skybox and how open it is, and I don't know, you just have this sense of scale. That's a really cool part to me. I also like the puzzle prior to the priest, where you're kind of fetching pails of water with your teams coming to middle, going to the sides, picking up a buff to also gain a buff, and the whole rotation that goes on with there. I like that this raid is focused on everybody learns everything. There's never a part where someone can just stand there and shoot. You got to be involved with something.
Right. No, that is definitely something that I love about this raid, because even with VOG, there's the guy who's carrying the relic. You know what I mean? And it's like, even at the end when you're facing Atheon, there's, again, two people who are carrying the relics that come out and get to deal with the Praetorians. And obviously you can do damage, but they're really the superstars here, so I think you're correct. Yeah, that's really cool to see.
There's no point in King's Fall where you can be like, just stand over here, and you'll be fine. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, they did such an amazing job, and before we move forward, I do want to point out on that jumping puzzle that you're talking about, you want to make sure you have max agility. Especially for the hunters and the titans of the world who seem to have trouble with their jump. One of the guys on our team forgot to put higher jump on his titan, and that was really stopping him from getting through the ships, the ships that despawn pretty close to the beginning as you're jumping across them. I love that part of the raid. To me, the jumping puzzles are just so much fun. Even the one at the very beginning with the pendulum type.
That one's the coolest looking jumping puzzle.
It's so awesome. Like you said, the scale is ginormous, and everything about it is just.
It has this mist. You just got in the raid, and you're like, "Oh my god, what's gonna happen?" It sets the tone really well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can't think of like the fight with orcs. Was it amazing? Did you think it was on par with Atheon, or was it as easy as Crota is now, or where did it fall for you?
Actually, I think the fight itself is easy. It's about mechanics and communication. So as long as you can get those two things down to a science, it's an easy fight. You could do it first try over and over and over again once you know the mechanics and once you have good communication. Prior to that, it's a difficult fight. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to it. But it's all mechanics. Like, that's the hard part, is figuring out the mechanics and then using them.
So, yeah, for me, I would definitely say so far my favorite part has been the War Priest fight, just because of how many mechanics there were. I mean, you just mentioned the Oryx fight, and I haven't actually seen Oryx yet, but for the War Priest, I mean, let's just talk about that for a quick second. There's so many mechanics. Like, I didn't realize how many mechanics there were until we were replacing a guy who had never, a guy who had never done it. And it was like, oh my goodness, I literally talked for a solid 5 minutes trying to explain to him the way things go. And I'll spare all of you here. But I definitely do want to tell you that there are acolytes that you fight. And then there are these majors that are called adepts. And if you kill an adept before you shoot all of the acolytes, they turn all of the acolytes into Cyclops.
They enrage.
They enrage, and they have little mini laser beams like ogres, and they're nuts. So you want to make sure you kill all the red bars on the map. This goes for everywhere in the raid. All the red bars on the map before you kill any of the yellow adepts. So that's just one tip I did want to throw out there. I'm sure most of you know that already if you've attempted the raid. But for those of you who are new,
once you get to Oryx, that's not an issue.
It's not an issue?
That's not an issue during Oryx.
Oh, good. Because I know it screwed us once on Golgoroth and twice on the War Priest. It was definitely one of the ones I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Right.
But all that pain and all that grind to get through the War Priest, I actually got the machine gun last night. So I don't have the name of it right off the top of my head, but it shoots like a laser beam. I actually ended up using it. It's at 303. And then the night before, right before reset, I also got the fusion rifle from... it was the stage right before the War Priest, the one that you were talking about, where you're basically running from side to side, filling up pails of water to get into the spot where the War Priest was. Right. So what I want to ask you is, one, what kind of drops have you got? And two, do you think the gear drops are appropriate for the tasks that you're completing? Are they enough? Are they plentiful? What are you thinking?
I've got the boots.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the class item. And I got the hand cannon, but I infused that into another weapon because I thought the hand cannon was garbage. As far as the items go, I think it's worth it. The weapons seem to be less than stellar, and I think that's intentional. I think that Bungie will release elemental weapons with the hard raid. I hope so. Fingers crossed.
Right.
So I don't know. I think they're appropriate. I've also got the string for the Touch of Malice, so I can get that exotic pulse, or not pulse, but scout rifle. I don't know. I mean, the experience itself is so much fun. Like this raid to me is so much fun. I've done it 4 or 5 times already, and it's just so much fun to do that the fact that you're getting gear on top of it, it's like, that's just bonus to me. It's like, it's so much. This is the first raid I feel about that. Like, I really liked Vault of Glass. I didn't like Crota Zen that much, but like this one I really like so much. I'm like, it's cool. I'm getting rewards. And a thing to note here is, like, so you get the moldering shards throughout the raid, and at first that seems like, oh, why do I keep getting these things? But did you know that if you have 20 of those and defeat Oryx with 20 of those in your inventory, the game will automatically consume those 20 and give you basically double the rewards. What? Now, I have no idea if it'll give you triple the rewards if you have 40 on you. But it'll basically give you 2 full rewards of Oryx.
Really? That's stellar. So is that something people should be farming?
You could farm them, but you can also get to a point where you buy them from Eris.
Okay. And do you know, is that like, hey, if you're already at rank 4, like for those of us from the OGs in Destiny, or is that a thing you have to grind?
That is what you need.
Okay.
I think it's rank 4. I just don't remember what the requirements for purchase are.
Right on. Well, you already kind of segued us into our final topic for this one. Any other tips or advice you would give to somebody who either hasn't gotten very far or got to any point of loot drops, or any advice that you would give to somebody who's a first timer about to go after it this week? What would you say? Let's start with light level.
Light level, you can go in. I would say if you're 280, you can go in. I don't think you should probably... You shouldn't have it in your mind that you're going to beat orcs unless you get some loot drops. Because when you get to orcs, it's a 300 recommended light level.
Wow.
And so being 280 is very harmful. Being a 285 is kind of acceptable. 290 is good. Anything over 290, fantastic.
Perfect.
So, yeah, I mean, go in there. Go at least get to Golgoroth, beat Golgoroth, go onto the wall, find the chest that's out there on the last jumping puzzle on the wall. That way you can get as many rewards as possible. And if you have a team that's capable, do the Death Singers, because they're not too difficult once you know the mechanics. The other thing is I would stress, do not bring that guy that's like, I don't want to learn anything, I just want to be carried through. Like, that's not going to work. Everybody's going to have, not every single moment of the raid, but everybody's got to be able to pull their weight at almost every point in the raid.
Absolutely.
And so if you have a guy that's like, I just want the rewards, it's like, dude, you're going to have to figure, like, we have to tell you what you got to do for these different things, because like there are areas where you can make someone less important, like on the orcs fight. But even then, there's so many mechanics there, they still have participation that's going to have to come into play.
For me, I would say get a scout rifle. I don't know what your primary that you were using before you started.
Scout.
Okay, so Scout 2, yeah. I had a hand cannon,
Scouts.
but it was underwhelming, and it just chewed through.
Too little ammo.
Chewed through my ammo. So a Scout somewhere in the 290s, 280 might even, but I really would recommend something above 290 as far as the attack.
The other thing I'd recommend is special synth. Bring special synth with you. I found it way more important than heavy synth in this raid.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's funny that you mention it, because who would have ever thought, back when we were doing all the treasure chests and everybody was farming for keys and everybody kept getting all those stupid special ammos, everybody's like, what are we going to need these for? Fast forward a couple months, and now you need them for the raid, because the raid requires that, which brings me to my next tip. Get yourself a sniper rifle. I won't say it's 100% needed, but if your scout rifle is not high impact and you don't have a sniper rifle, and you're low light level, you're going to start to find some of these engagements very, very difficult to complete, because you need to be at range with them. So I went ahead and bought the 1,000-yard stare. And how did you get yours?
I got mine from a Cryptarch package. I used the Fourth Horseman when I first went through, because I didn't have a sniper rifle. So like on Oryx, there's some ogre parts, and I was the guy that was killing the ogres, because my Fourth Horseman would melt them.
That's what I'm talking about. That's it.
So, but yeah, no, I definitely agree. The sniper's probably the best weapon you could go in. Scout pulse for primary, machine gun over rocket launchers for the most part are better. Let's see. I think if you're having trouble with the War Priest, burn that left shard when they do the gaze. That's gonna blind everybody. Yeah. You can stand on the very bottom, very middle bottom floor, and you can jump up to the left and get behind that rock and burn that rune first, since it's the hardest to burn, and then it kind of frees you up to do a lot more DPS.
Right. No, that's really good tips. And moving forward in weeks to come, we're actually going to break down these engagements and give you our opinion of what we thought they would be like, how we thought the strat should go, and what they actually ended up being. Now, keep in mind, these are our opinions, but some of these are pretty self-explanatory, and Xero is Nostradamus, so he is going to bless us with his knowledge of how to get through this raid on next week's Drop the Point.
I also have a ton of funny stories on, because we went world's first attempt with a blind run.
Oh boy.
So I have plenty of funny stories of what we thought these puzzles were supposed to be and how to beat these certain bosses.
Oh boy, that sounds like it's going to be fun. You can catch that episode next Wednesday at some point when I'm not working, and we'll get that out to you. Thank you guys for listening. If you like these types of conversations, don't forget to check us out every Friday night on twitch.tv/AimAssistGaming, where we talk about these types of things and more. I am Hambone, he's Nolxero, and we'll see you when we see you.
TTK Gotti.